Hi, welcome to Movie Review Mom. I'm the mom and I do the movie reviews. And my goal is to give you the heads up on filmmaking quality and content so that you can make the best decision for you and your family as to whether or not you want to spend your time and money watching a specific film. So, that specific film that I'm reviewing today is called Triumph, not to be confused with all of the other films with the same name. This coming of age movie is available in some theaters and on video on demand. And if you don't already have an Amazon Prime account, I've got a coupon for you. So click on the link down below and you can get a free 30-day trial on Amazon Prime. Love it. You can watch this movie as well as tons of other movies there. So this movie is rated PG-13. It's an hour and 40 minutes, and I'll give you my score at the end of my review. So first, in a nutshell, this movie is inspired by a true story. The movie begins in 1975 with a young boy who tries to wrestle in elementary school. As a senior, he's determined to be a wrestler one last time, despite having cerebral palsy. He goes to extreme lengths, crushing obstacles and inspiring others along the journey to prove his abilities to them and to himself. The lovely film was written by Michael D. Coffey and directed by Brett Leonard. Film critics have rated the movie poorly, but audiences are enjoying it. Fans of wrestling will especially love it. So let me tell you all the things that I liked about it, as well as a few things I didn't. And I'll point out some tips for parents, themes worth talking about, and even give you some movie recommendations for other films I think you'll also really like if you like this one. So first of all, RJ Mitt is fantastic and actually has cerebral palsy in real life. I hadn't seen him before in anything, even though he's been in a ton of popular TV shows. I'm now a fan and can't wait to see him in more productions. My brother's name is RJ too. I had never seen Colton Haynes in anything before, and so I looked him up online. Turns out he's a model in addition to being an actor. No surprise there. What a cute guy. And I loved that his character was sharp and recognized that Mike needed an instant friend the day that they met. I've never understood bullies, and there are some guys who pick on him. I mean, who picks on somebody with cerebral palsy? What kind of a jerk does that? So I loved that contrast of kids that felt badly about themselves and had to feel better by picking on somebody, an easy target, which is just ridiculous. Okay, off my mother soapbox. So, Oscar nominee Terrence Howard is a very good actor and does a very good job in this film, but his personal life is extremely problematic. He's a hothead accused of abusing women. And in my book, that makes him an incredible jerk and a total scumbag. I mean, it's the same thing as picking on somebody with cerebral palsy. Why would a man beat up a woman? Come on. So while he's talented, I think casting him in this movie may have actually hurt the marketing for the film, as this film just flew under the radar for most viewers. You'll learn a little bit about cerebral palsy and be reminded of how blessed we all are to have a healthy body, those of us who have healthy bodies. When I was in elementary school, I raced through all of my assignments. So I had a very insightful teacher one year who paired me up to help a boy in my class who had cerebral palsy. I had no idea what cerebral palsy was and had never really been around anybody with a handicap. And so my task was to walk around the schoolyard with this little boy and remind him to push his arm down. And in the movie, you see the actor, well, I don't know in real life if he's got that under control, but you see that arm creep up, which is pretty typical of cerebral palsy. And so this little boy that I helped had the same thing. And so as we walked, his feet also were kind of pigeon-toed and he stumbled like you see in this movie. And so my job was to remind him to keep his toes facing forward and to push his arm down. And I don't know how much I actually helped that little boy, but it sure taught me a lot about compassion and kindness. Now, back to the movie, there's a really fun 80s soundtrack that takes you back in time when the story takes place. There's a twist, and I like that not everything is tied up perfectly in a bow at the end of the movie. And I really like that there was a message of building your brain as well as your body, and I think that's true for all of us. Cheers to all of the adults who give kids with extra challenges a chance to succeed. And I love that there were several people in this story who gave him a break, who gave him the opportunity to prove himself. Because, of course, as the father, his job was to keep his son safe, and he really struggled with that. So there were some other adults that was their job, was to follow the rules, keep him safe. And then there were those who could see that this kid had a real spark in him and he wanted to try, even though he knew it was dangerous as well. And hats off to all of the parents who show patience and support every day to their children with special needs. That's just amazing to me. So there were some things that I didn't like or thought could have just been done better. First of all, there's a bully on the high school wrestling team who looks like he's 35 years old. And that's often the case in these sports movies where kids look a lot older because the actors are older and they're trying to look younger anyway. So there's a lot of that going on in this movie as well. There are also plenty of cliches that you find in all other films like this one, especially sports, inspirational movies. There's another teen who becomes paralyzed after an accident. And so this boy with cerebral palsy is there to help him and push him because he knows exactly what it's like. And in the movie, basically this kid who's told he's never going to walk again is dancing and doing all this stuff within about a 6-week time period. I don't know how realistic that is, but it made for great drama in the movie. And of course, the movie is very predictable and formulaic. Now, while that's a negative thing usually, of course, I always have a caveat, and that is these sports underdog films follow a formula because that formula works and is always a crowd pleaser. So let me give you some tips for parents because the movie is generally family friendly. There is some bullying, and some people call Mike a retard or a gimp, which are just ugly words and should never be uttered. You see a bare-chested teenage boy. A girl comments on a boy's booty. Someone actually slaps a teenager in the face, but later that slapper apologizes and changes his own attitude. There's some light profanity, not much. And of course, no F-bombs, which I'm always grateful for. And then there's a jerk of a teenager who flips the bird. So there were some positive themes that are illustrated in the film, such as determination, tenacity, perseverance. And while those are all different words, they all kind of mean the same thing, just that inner grit and motivation to keep going despite the obstacles. Also, themes are parenting, believing in yourself, believing in others, friendship, kindness, and supporting others to reach their dreams. So I always write down funny lines and interesting lines so that you can get a real taste for the movie. And I have them all on my written review on moviereviewmom.com. So you can run over there and check those out. And I also have contests and other things that I often forget to mention in my movie reviews. But I'll share a couple of the lines with you right now. So first of all, Mike, played by RJ Mitz, talking to a girl who's a gymnast, and she's in recovery and going through some of the same machine exercises that Mike is doing. And he says, well, how's it going? And she's like, good, I'm almost out of rehab. And he's like, be careful, gravity sucks. So he has a really good sense of humor about his situation in life. And I really appreciated that. One of the interesting lines is when RJ Mitt is talking to his coach specifically. Although he says this to a lot of people, he says to the coach, don't underestimate me. And I think that that's such a great reminder that sometimes we feel threatened when someone we know tries to do something really hard, because then we think, oh, I guess that means I'm a loser. I should be trying hard things too. And so oftentimes we put other people down when they're trying, but we should encourage them. I mean, why not reach for the stars? Well, anyway, there are a ton of inspirational lines. So, like I said, the coach is talking to Mike and he says, win from within. And I thought that was really great advice. Of course, with cerebral palsy, he absolutely needed to train the outside of his body. But even more important is that mindset for all of us, whether our bodies are cooperating or not. All right. So, with all of that, my praise is high, and my movie review mom grade is an A minus. So let me give you some recommendations for a couple of other movies that immediately came to my mind that I think you'll also really like if you like this one, and maybe even more. The first movie that immediately came to my mind is Rudy. It's a football movie, and there are some physical and mental limitations of one particular young boy. And I don't want to spoil it for you if you've never seen it, but you're absolutely going to love it. And then another movie that came to my mind is The Blind Side. Now, there aren't necessarily physical limitations, but some mindset limitations in the community and within certain characters. And again, it's one of those underdog feel good sports movies. I think you're really going to enjoy both of those. All right, that's it for my review. Thank you so much for subscribing and for supporting me over at Patreon. When you get a minute, go over to my Movie Review Mom Facebook group and check out all of the fun conversations and games and things that we have going on over there. And you can also follow me on Instagram at Movie Review Mom, or my name, Trina Boice. I would love to connect with you there. All right, until the next movie review or trailer reaction, bye for now.